Stay to the end if you want to hear our takes on Batman, okay? Like,
oh, look at that. Some Batman footage.
I'm Batman.
Something else we'll talk about later. I love it. I wonder where Robert Batman's gonna land.
Robert Bat?
Yeah, of all time fucking Batman.
Oh, fuck it.
God.
Let's,
Off.
before we get into this Cinnamon Toast Can thing, why don't you just, we teased it for the end, but we're like, if you're watching this constant flow of the stream, maybe we just, we're inserting this Batman review in.
Inserting it in right now.
Yeah, you have to actually watch the whole podcast to actually catch us say it. You might think it's at the end, but if you don't watch the whole thing, you're never going to catch it.
The people who skip to the end, like, it's not here.
So yeah. What's your
where is it?
What's your Batman take?
Where's the Batman?
That's actually the part that I want to know. You don't have to go into the movie of it all.
Yeah,
like, tell me. You don't have to tell me like how good the movie is or anything. I want to know where you think he falls in terms of Batman.
Oof.
Like, is he worst, best, middle of the road? Is he better than most?
He's gonna be at least middle of the road, I think. What's good about this Batman is it's year 2, so it's a young Batman.
So this would be after like he's done some stuff and he's learned his karate and stuff.
Yeah, he knows that, but he doesn't know a lot, and he's definitely got some shit to learn, which is good because it seems based on Matt Reeves' plan and the box office that he wants a trilogy and he'll get one. So yeah, and I think
It's doing pretty well in the box office.
It's doing pretty well, and critically, it is getting a lot of love everywhere I've seen. Honestly, I think people are simping for it a little bit. Like, people keep saying it's the greatest comic book movie ever. I wouldn't go that hard, but I wouldn't say I was necessarily disappointed by the movie. And he certainly, I was pleased by him as the Batman. I would say
awesome.
higher tier. Like, I don't know if he's like top 2 or 3, but he's above the halfway point. Like, he's better than average, I would say.
Let's just compare it to the last 2 then. Better than Affleck?
Yes.
Better than Bale?
It's not who I am underneath, but what I do that defines me.
Not yet, but maybe by the end of the trilogy.
Fair enough.
Based on, they started him at a great place, much like Christian Bale in the Chris Nolan movies was set up.
Some people would say that first Batman Begins is the best of the trilogy, of that trilogy. A lot of people would say The Dark Knight because of Heath Ledger. Thank you for jogging my memory there.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, a lot of people would argue that one's the best of the 3, but Batman Begins was pretty good. And if you were comparing it to that in terms of a start, and it can only get better from here, that's interesting. But I don't know, I've heard a lot of mixed things. So anything that you want to say before we depart about Batman, Kevin? Is there any final notes that you want to give me about the Bat, Robert Bat? You said that he was an alright,
pretty good,
an alright Batman.
Pretty good.
So give the people what they really want. How does this movie, stake up against the other movies rather than just the Batman there?
Well, I will say this: if you're looking for the
spoilers, because I'm not going to worry about it.
Potential spoilers. I would say I'm going to keep it spoiler free, but
definitely don't listen to this if you're like wanting to go watch it and be like, oh, fuck, completely surprised about everything, because I'm not worried about spoilers and I haven't even seen it. So
yeah, so the spoiler free version would be absolutely worth seeing. Expect a slow burn. More detective-based film instead of a superhero movie. So think about that. So if you wanted the spoiler-free part, that's where you go. So now, getting into it, a little bit more. It's sort of like, so this was heavily influenced by like detective noir films. It's got it's got heavy like Seven vibes.
Yes, I've heard that a lot, and I heard that like
Zodiac vibes.
I saw that he did a interview, Robert Pattinson and what's her name, Kravitz.
Zoe Kravitz.
They were doing interviews, and he said something about Cobblepot's based on like Fredo from fucking The Godfather.
Yeah, and then that's the other part. It's very heavily mob influenced, and I believe it's Colin Farrell that plays Cobblepot. It's funny, they call him Ozzy.
Yeah.
The whole time, and he very much like he's made kind of to look more like Al Capone down to the Scarface, but he plays. It's almost like he's trying to sound like Robert De Niro. But yeah, it's very and the mob guys are well casted. But yes, it is much more a mob movie with like Chinatown detective noir themes within it. But then it's got that sort of Saw 7 serial killer vibe to it as well.
Okay.
Not really doesn't feel like a Batman movie for most of the movie.
Really?
Which I think will be where the conflict is for some people. My own real issues, if you want to get like to the negative with it, I just thought it was paced poorly. It's a 3-hour movie that I thought could have been about 2.5 hours.
Which seems like that is repeatedly. They need to get editors
It's
at
just
fucking
poorly
DC.
edited.
Am I right though?
Yeah,
Like,
it's just like cut.
repeatedly.
They hold on shots too long. Like they leave stuff in there that doesn't add to the movie, and then you see some of the stuff that gets cut out, and you're like, man, if you would have just had someone come in here and trim some of these scenes, there's a shot and
Like,
show it.
It's obviously, sorry to cut you off in the middle of your fucking thought there, but I just wanted to say that it's like it's not even limited to they're not editing enough. Sometimes they edited too much, like Justice League, and then they had to come out with a fucking 3-hour-long revision to it for people to actually like the fucking movie. So they just need to get an editor that knows what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, that's true. They should just hire better editors. But yes, yeah, and that's just some of the not. Other than that, I mean, it was
No shame to the
it was
editors. I don't know what I'm doing either.
It was very well casted. The roles were good. My biggest beef really with the movie was the soundtrack. If you don't like the soundtrack and it ends up being the same 2 or 3 songs for 3 hours, that starts to get really irritating by the end of the movie.
Interesting.
So I honestly, and that's why I told you before, I want to go watch it a third time, really hoping, because I've watched it twice now and I fail to see the same movie that people say this is the greatest comic book movie of all time. I get what
people are saying that.
I've seen go watch. It's all over YouTube. It's everywhere, and I get that it is a good movie, and I love the ambitious effort. I love that they made a movie like this. I've been personally wanting a Batman that was like this for a very long time, so I don't mean to suggest that it shouldn't have been made or that it was terrible by any means. And I think honestly, it could be better once you have the full trilogy. I think it's a great part 1, but it didn't leave me fulfilled as a Batman story. And at the same time, there were
2
just
hours and 56 minutes.
It's really long to not feel fulfilled walking out of it.
Right.
And so I want to see it that third time, just trying to get over because the soundtrack, it's repetitive and it's reminiscent of like Darth Vader's theme or the Undertaker's WWE entrance music. And then you hear those saying bah, 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 constantly, and then when Batman shows up, it's like he's getting the monster movie treatment. Like they're playing, like it's cool in small doses. It would have sounded badass, but if you're playing like bad guy music every time Batman shows up on the screen, like I thought they made some bad choices in the soundtrack that really took me out. Like it ruined my immersion constantly, because I was like, God damn it, not this fucking music again. And then they really played that Nirvana song. I felt that was overplayed. They used it a lot. I thought it was great for the trailer, but I didn't think they should have used it in the movie as much as they did.
Wow.
But these are sort of nitpicks. Again, good movie overall.
Right.
Like, I would enjoy it if, like, again, come with the right expectations. I mean, if you're somehow... I mean, I still haven't spoiled a lot of the plot, but...
Can I get a spoiler out of you?
Sure, yeah.
Who's the most disappointing development? Like, as a character, like, because the Riddler thing is up in the air for me, obviously, because I haven't seen the movie, and the trailers don't really do a lot for him. And same thing with, I mean, I just know some of the villains, the Riddler, the Penguin, whatever. Is there more villains than that? Those two?
There is...
Like, explicitly, I guess, because a lot of times they plant seeds.
Yeah, exactly. There's a seed that's planted for a sequel. So there's a villain cameo at the end that is not explicitly pointed out, but we all kind of think we know who it is.
Is it Mr. Freeze?
No.
Is it... No, I'm not going to play the guessing game.
I can tell you who it is.
Who is it?
It's going to be... It's the Joker.
Already?
Yeah.
And is it...
So what it is...
Is it not Joaquin?
It's Barry Keoghan in a prison cell, and they don't show his face, but he does a laughing thing, and it's pretty... I'm pretty sure it's going to be the Joker.
What is the... Do they just show that and that's it, or is that character in the movie other?
It's not... There's a deleted scene where I guess he interacts with Batman at Arkham, but it's not in the final cut, so he's just in the very final scene.
So essentially they're just like, it's like Thanos at the end of fucking Avengers, where they're just like,
yeah,
he exists, this is gonna happen.
Or and it's much like in the end of one of the Superman movie where they show Lex Luthor in prison, except this time it would be showing Lex Luthor and then like Darkseid's in the cell right next to him or whatever, you know. It's like, oh, our bad guy will be back and he'll have friends or whatever. So,
but yeah, so did the Riddler or the Penguin fall short for you? Because that's pretty much what Batman is for me. It's almost most of the time it's less about him and more about his villains. He's got a very cool rogues gallery. So do either of them fall short?
I don't know. Riddler, for the most part, was good. It might fall short for you at the end. Ozzy, I would say, if anything, was a plus. So, Ozzy gets sort of the build-up treatment. He's not a major character. Like, he's, spoiler, he's a lieutenant for a crime boss.
Okay.
In this movie, and it kind of sets up to where he's probably going to be the crime boss.
He's going to take over. Movie. Right. Okay.
So he gets built up throughout. So I think it's done really well.
So it's like his origin story almost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you get an origin for him, and then the Riddler. I mean, yeah, throughout.
What the fuck is up with the Riddler in this? By the way, it's like, I guess I'm very hyper aware of comic book shit, so I know who all these people are. I've read a lot of Batman shit, I've seen a lot of this shit, yada yada. Nothing ever particular with the Riddler besides the movie that Jim Carrey was the Riddler, right?
Yes.
So that is like my image of the Riddler, and then the cartoon also was more so like that one. Yeah. And this one looks like a swamp monster or something. I can't even understand what the fuck's going on.
And we should mention the 60s TV show had a Riddler too, but it's very much the same.
Was it the campy green and question marks?
That's where Jim Carrey took the inspiration for his. So you're right. This guy, and so it's not a swamp thing really. It's army surplus stuff. What he's wearing is like all like army.
So it's like what a ghillie suit or whatever.
So it's just like an army trench coat, but he's wearing a winter mask. He's wearing like an army whatever outpost, official army winter mask, and that's when the glasses go over. But no, it's inspired. So that having a weird mask with the glasses over, that's what witnesses who saw the Zodiac killer described, and so that's where that came from.
Okay, so that's interesting.
Yeah, this version of the Riddler is more like a Saw sort of, like a Jigsaw or the guy from Seven. Like he's
not campy.
Not campy whatsoever. It's like he's a nutcase serial killer who's leading Batman on a trail of clues to try to Well, I don't want to completely, but yeah, you know,
Fair
he's leaving
enough.
specific clues for Batman.
So,
which is how Batman gets involved with the police.
is this a new take, or is this a more reminiscent of the comics, and what I've seen of the campy version is like just that version?
It depends. So this is
I haven't seen
reminiscent
him in the
of a
comics.
certain era of the comics. Like, so this draws really heavily from, is it called The Longest Halloween, or is it just The Long Halloween? I can't remember.
Something like that. I have heard that.
But yeah, it's the one that just, this movie also starts on Halloween Day. But yeah, so there are those, and I want to say this was like mid to late 80s, maybe early 90s, like when Dark Knight Returns, like there was that sort of renaissance where Batman got really dark in the graphic novels and stuff like that.
Right.
A few different guys had some different runs that were great, and so it stays true to certain stories.
Is it darker?
But it is all within that darker, and then it's got other pop culture and other movie influences, like we pointed out with the Zodiac and with Saw, and there's actually, and this isn't too much of a spoiler because they use this scene as a trailer with the DA when he's got the neck bomb. That is inspired by a Netflix series called Evil Genius, which was about a real crime that happened in Pennsylvania, where Brian Wells, a pizza delivery driver, got kidnapped and had a bomb strapped around his neck.
Wow.
And was tasked to go rob banks.
Holy shit.
Like was given basically a set of clues. It was like, you have to go rob this bank, do this to get in order to get the combination to take the bomb off of his neck.
So like real life jigsaw shit.
So it was so many. So it pulled from real Batman stories, but also. So again, like and this is why I want to go see it a third time, because I really want to love it, and there are certain things like we said, I really wish they'd have done another edit of it. I felt that if they'd have shortened it and paced it out better, it really could have been the greatest Batman movie of all time. But it's still, by the time the trilogy's done, it very well could be the best Batman trilogy that we've seen.
Well, very cool. I guess go see Batman if you haven't.
8 out of 10, I guess, for now.
Oh yeah.
7.5.
I like it. 8 out of 10. The Batman. Now we can put that in the title too.
Oh, that's getting a clip. That's we got a route. If we aren't the Clout Route.
Fart jars, YouTuber boxing, Batman. You know, we talk about it all here. And having said that, we'll talk about more next week when we come back and see you guys again. But for now, we're going to head the F out of here and let you guys go and get back to your normal Sunday activities.